We gather again in that lively old oak. All my aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, the grandbirds, hundreds of us. Do you ever wonder what it is that we caw about? Conversation a bit raucous and bold, all about the day's travels, the views, mountain peaks, snowfields, plow fields, urban sprawl, the wetlands.
Yeah, here. Okay. Thanks, Anne.
Hi. You see me? Yeah, here I am. I see me. Nice to see you.
So, can people please mute themselves? So I will just, maybe I'll start over. Conference of the Crows. As dusk settles over the urban canopy, we gather again in that lively old oak. All my aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, the grandbirds, hundreds of us. Do you ever wonder what it is that we caw about? Conversation a bit raucous and bold, all about the day's travels, the views, mountain peaks, snowfields, plow fields, the urban sprawl, the wetlands. Mobbing that horrid hawk on the forest fringe, playing chicken in the road. You should have seen my brother, the sky fight between the eagle and the osprey, and how I got the fish. All the gory guts, scrumptious carrion, dumpster diving for McDonald's fries, cheese puffs on the roadway, pizza crust, that watermelon, spitting out them seeds, raided the squirrel's nut cache, did you? That's where I'm flying in the morn. Where did you get that foul cigar butt? Oh, grace for Cowie's broken wing. She may not carry on, but we love her so. Who's willing to sit with her tomorrow? Yes, many, her spirit soars with us. How do you pray in a murder of crows? Sometimes it's call and response. Sometimes we wail with heartache. Sometimes we follow the woodpecker's drum. Sometimes we bow our heads. Ah, feel the breeze. My glossy violet black quivers with desire for my celestial black mate and our cuckoo of spring past. As the moon rises, we settle. We preen each other. We snuggle on the branches of that old oak. We watch as the owl begins her night hunt. They say she is wise, but she's no match. Our great-great-grandbird tells a bedtime story, a tale about how crows were painted black. And so we drift into the dream world, our roost for the night, that ancient oak. You may wonder, how do you rebel in a murder of crows? Hell if I know. Thank you. This next one is a poem that I just did some revision on over the weekend. It's titled, If People Were All Trees. And it does have some birds in it, I just noticed. Anyway, it starts with an epigraph. I wish people were all trees, and I think I could enjoy them then. That's Georgia O'Keeffe in 1921. So that's 100 years ago. You laugh gently in the breeze. Your white puffs float by. I wander amid your clan of black cottonwoods along the meandering river. I stop and listen to your kin. Mountain aspens in autumn sing, bright yellow ballads of generations gone. Moss-covered big-leaf maples spread winged seeds on windy afternoons. Pinon pines bestow nuts to jays, shrubs of the high desert, gauze of the mesa sun. Ancient redwoods dressed in gnarled bark reach for blue above the Pacific mist. I could perform this dance with 1,000 living trees in 1,000 wild worlds. What tree would I be if I joined this family? Would I stay where I was planted? Would I endure the thirst of drought and the singe of fire? What love would my roots touch? What songs would the wind play in the hollows of my old age? Maybe this river will gather all our broken branches, carry us to the great ocean, where scrubbed by salt tides and sea kelp, I could taste all these worlds. Thank you. So this next one was, this one was posted at the Multnomah Arts Center Poetry Post, maybe about 3 years ago, something like that. It's called Listen to Whoever Flies or Sings. And I'm going to start it out with a little bit of flute music. Listen to whoever flies or sings. Aloof among the sage and bunch grass, just off the path I see the meadowlark, radiant yellow and black, now holding court on a boulder, chiming his love song, whistles and warbles opening the whole sky. I step over paintbrush and sage, over rattlers too cold to move, over anthills and black beetles, over the wind and rooted streaks of sun. I join my bird in song, duet becoming trio, notes of the reed flute, the deep bass of basalt cliff and wind, flare of the river's rapids, into chorus, into verse. It occurs to me that I am human, and my meadowlark is a bird who flies up the basalt outcrop, my heart taken, but only for a moment. I look up the canyon to the wind-stroked ridge, where I can soar, or at least crawl. Thank you. This next poem is about the the ivory-billed woodpecker, which it likely went extinct in the middle of the 20th century, but there's been a few reported sightings since then, but none of them confirmed. The last one was in 2004 at the Big Woods in Arkansas. And there's another bird in this poem, the passenger pigeon, which there used to be 4 or 5 billion passenger pigeons flying over the skies and the prairies and forests of the eastern and Midwest US. And that species has been extinct for over 100 years. Lord Godbird. And this starts with a quote. The last universally accepted photos of living ivory bills in the US were taken more than 80 years ago in Louisiana's Singer Tract in 1938. My head says that the species is extinct, but my heart won't accept that. In my dreams, the big woodpeckers are still out there. And that was Ken Kaufman in an interview with Audubon. I migrate with sandhill cranes, soar high on thermals with red-tailed hawks. I whistle the fluid chant of the Carolina wren, dive in cold northern lakes with loons, rise up tremolo, wail, and grace. I flee wildfires, my wings singed in black. I dance joyously in autumn rain. To become the Lord Godbird, ghost of bottomland forests, sweet gums and cypress, Atchafalaya bayous, cathedrals, unspoken backwaters and swamps, panthers and cottonmouth snakes. You know me by my immense being, ivory bill, red crest, unwavering flight, double wrap on old growth snags. You know me, but you've never seen me. You search for me in the big woods. I sing the wind blowing upstream, flare the quake of earth across time. I glide in the vanishing dark forest. Someone, somewhere, saw me sail among passenger pigeons. Now I am the call of the morning dove. Thank you. I'm going to do one more. I light a candle for you. Well before the waking of dawn, the slanting day starts with birdsong, the warm chopped wind of summer. I light a candle lost in brightness. Sunlight spills through gray clouds to black fertile earth. I walk in gentle rain, welcome the empty path, welcome the rise and fall of day and night, the melting song of the frozen sea. Life surges thousands of miles away over jetties, floodplains, broken streets. Reason gives way to lost lives, lost homes, lost cities. Finally, compassion, multiples walk in solidarity. Breathe for those who no longer can. Let me hear you sing your purpose, your justice, your dreams. I light a candle that shimmers at nightfall. Thank you. I'll do a few seconds of flute. Thank you.
Oh, Francis, thank you so much. That was so beautiful, and it was just really moving. And as you were talking about the pigeons, there's like 5 pigeons outside I was looking at eating corn. But thank you so much, and it was just wonderful, really special. Um, I'll introduce our next poet. Okay. Nancy Christopherson poems have appeared or are forthcoming in, is it AGI Magazine, Amethyst Review, Free State Review, Helen Literary Magazine, Cosmos Quarterly, Peregrine Journal, Raven Chronicles, Verse Weavers, and Xanadu, among others, as well as various regional, national, and international anthologies. Author of The Leaf, she lives and writes in Eastern Oregon. So actually I have Nancy's book, which is really beautifully done. And I'm going to put her website on the chat in case you want to purchase it, which I highly recommend. So let's welcome Nancy to our reading.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Francis, your music is just haunting. That's gorgeous. And your poems were wonderful. Thank you so much. It's a joy to read with you. I spent approximately 12 years living and working at Grand Canyon in northern Arizona. And I've been slowly producing a collection of poems from that time. And I wish to read some of them for you tonight. I hope you'll enjoy them. I'm not going to introduce them individually. I'm just going to read them and allow them to speak for themselves. Alone with her raging. When the storms come and one is alone, there is that flash of understanding that arrives with the thunder. Yes, the lightning exactly, which can stop your heart instantly. It will burn through your torso and exit the genitals or the toes, nose, mouth. It can rip you apart and turn you to cinders, blackened and charred, fingers gone. You can seek shelter among the live oak and grapevine, but the drenching will go on. The creeks will swell to over your head, flashing, channel beds swept clean into night, and the rain, and the rain. You will find the limp snake. Boulders will separate from the cliff face and crash down, leaving deep, scarred impressions. The mud and debris churn thickly with brush and turn limbs. Trunks will block pour-offs. There is no crossing. You must wait while the blood leaps from your veins to join that wild flowing. Nature has spoken. Now you must listen. This one's for you, Sherry. Everyone asks if it's real. What sits comfortably in my living room in front of the green marble fireplace, which is framed in a golden oak? Everyone entering asks the same question. Is that real? They suddenly inquire. They step in, we greet, they pan around with their eyes, then always the startled look, and they ask. They try to relax, but stand ready. I think it's the eyes, how exactly they bore deep into your body, as if already tasting flesh. The animal is seated on its haunches with its tail wrapped, but with those large paws, it could easily gap the distance in one moment's glance. The first time I saw it, I knew the sculptor who tooled the original was surely gifted and had seen one or more in the wild, or that is my hope. One would have to forfeit any piece fashioned from captivity, where the animal would be lost to loneliness or pacing. Dreams that the big steel door bursts savagely open to let flood in the actual blue light. There are worse things than death, a friend once told me after the incident. After describing years living outdoors among ridges and the gorge all around, the smell of his constant mules. I value those eyes and the intensity of that focused stare, what they stand for, how this dangerous predator could come alive, lunge, and take you down before you might think there may be worse things than death. It would happen quite quickly, the glorious lethal leap. Perhaps this is how the world came about. A flash of bright instinct, then a flood of heat in our mouths. We would certainly see stars. Thank you. Nearing the vastness of things. The mind grasps for anything at this moment to hold on to, lest it drift out and fly off into air like a small brown bat, cleaving the starlight, eating bugs, sweeping the blackness. Raven, here's a bird poem. Susan, this one's for you. Occasionally, nothing at all will come, and I rely on an old bird to fly out to the ledge where I'm perched and drop it. He sidles up with that oily black head, that intelligent eye blink, not mine, lays it down at my feet. Oh, Raven, you are great. Oh, Raven, you are great, I chant. This done in silence, for I don't want to break up the rhythm he has brought. I pour water, a small depression in slick rock to make a puddle. Water for a charm, we are square. All along he watches. He cocks his legs ready for liftoff. Oh, great sly bird, I sing. Thank you. Headlamp on. Moon shredding through my tent at night. I am camped on sand, as in leave no trace. Solid walls straight up both sides, very dark. Sudden flood of light from Earth's satellite wakes me every time. Feels like flint. More like gravity, where we're brought together by forces greater than our own when combined. Where every action has its equal and opposite reaction, both repelled and attracted at the same time by laws of physics neither can explain. Get up, pull the boots on, go relieve myself in the river. Shadows appear next to boulders. Cliff sides clear as day loom. Animals watch. Upper Ribbon Falls. This one takes a little bit of effort to get to. yucca, cottonwood, cold plunge, and the tall, tall ribbon of water sliding down limestone. The rubbly steep way up to the granaries. Frogs plop in streamside eddies, live oak, some big boulders. No one else, most often in the heat. Rattlesnakes, always scorpions. Sit and eat my peanut butter sandwich and apple. Drink lots of water. Watch a few clouds form over the Walhalla. Here's a winter poem. Sculptor. The wind brought the Arctic air, the clear sky, blue today. Stars brilliant at night and blew the snow into drifts across roads, blew the deep snow. Once on the North Rim, I skied in, then lay down on the snow and made angels. I wrote peace. I wrote love inside their bodies. I wrote love beside them, drew arrows through the centers of their hearts. Do you know what I mean? On the way back out, a coyote I could see followed me, paralleled my tracks about 100 yards off. I suspect the rest of the pack trotted along hidden, undetected, behind big pines and barren brush. Mostly the snowfield was open, light snowflakes in number and beauty flashed. I looked into the Creator's face for the second time. Overwhelming simplicity. There is no plan. I took my skis off. The animal removed its fur coat. Each of us exposed to the elements, cold beings hungry for anything that sparkled or moved. We just stood there. And my final poem, Jacob Lake Inn. A place you can go in your black truck when you're still wet and chilled from the bad storm in the canyon, to purchase hot soup and a melted cheese sandwich and good coffee, and get warm, thick sweatpants and a hooded sweatshirt to change into, so after all, you won't die of hypothermia after driving miles in this condition with a broken thermostat and no heat in the cab. They also have cards and art of all kinds, and you can get a room if you have the money. And there's a big roaring fireplace, which is heaven. Amen. Thank you very much, you guys.
Nancy, would you mind telling everybody what you told me about living in the canyon and what that was like? Because I can see that's your poetry talks about that.
Yeah. I had a person one time ask me, what do you find when you're down in the canyon? I find myself. I find animals. I find other living beings that inhabit this planet besides myself, which makes me feel really small and humble. And mostly I spent my time alone. I would go in during the off season. I also did volunteer work at the ranger stations. And so during the on season, it was very busy and there were many, many people that I assisted. But during the off season, I spent my time solo down there. And I would go for days without seeing another human being. And it was absolutely, almost indescribably exquisite and peaceful. And I fell so in love with my time there. It's anytime anybody spends any time in the wilderness, if you go into the wilderness alone and spend any time, you will find things you could never have imagined possible about yourself, about being alive, about being on this planet, about being a very tiny speck in the universe. It's very incredible. I highly recommend it for anyone.
And I know, Francis, you also spent a lot of time by yourself in nature, as you told me that. So same kind of.
Yeah, I kind of like to get away, not quite as well as Nancy, but you know, I have my spots.
Well, your music very, very much shows your connection to the earth. Nicely done.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy, for your work, your poetry.
You're welcome.
Your
Thank
energy.
you.
Thank you both. And thank you everyone for coming. It's been what a treat, what a night. So we're going to open it up to open mic, and there's not a lot of people here. So I was thinking 2 poems per person. Is that okay, everyone? And if you don't have any, then you don't have to read. So I'm just gonna start with this the square thing instead of going off the list, just the people I see. So Gwen, would you like to start? Would you like to read? You're muted.
Sorry about that. I recently last summer bought a cabin up on Mount Hood on Still Creek, and I wrote this poem there. So so far the title is just On Still Creek, which is not still, and it's a love poem, or it was intended to be. Do you remember how it was that we lay side by side in sleeping bags that did not zip together, alongside the Imnaha, chattering us to sleep, strong and pain-free and not thinking about any moment but the one we are snuggled in, and other nights on the ground in sleeping bags that did zip together, under blue tents and green tents, under stars, under rain patter, how it was that rivers found us, the creeks, the streams, the branches of the Judith, the branches of the John Day, the glacier-fed streams in meadows of wildflowers. How is it then that decades later, we still seek the mysteries of moving water? Sometimes I go to estate sales and antique stores and buy old photos and use them as prompts. And I bought, a few years ago, I bought a whole bunch of photos at an antique store, and some of them were labeled Uncle Nick's, and they had a lot of the same characters in them, and that's what inspired this poem, which is not done. I'm still working on it. I was looking at old photos of Uncle Nick's summer farm down by Flannery Lake. Aunts, uncles, cousins, and neighbors show up in abandoned poses, connecting, conversing, hijinks, dress up, and in every photo, great aunt's black umbrella, spokes coming together at the tip. She rests upon the thing as she leans in to make her point. It is upside down in the garden, propped in a chair, tossed carelessly in the bushes. The baby has crawled under it, and over there against the weathered boards of Uncle Nick's farmhouse. The roundness, symmetry, the joining of segments, it's how I see those bits in old photos now, so many decades past. The photos, stopped action each one, stills from a pantomime show revolving around me. Like dizzy children running to push the merry-go-round as it flies about the point where everything connects.
Nice, Gwen. Thank you. So good to see you.
Nice to see you. Nice to be here.
Me and Gwen and Francis were in class together. Is that right?
Yeah, I think. I was forgetting, Francis, what class we were in of Christine's. You took one of Christine's classes, right?
Yeah, reading and writing about Oregon.
Oregon. Okay, I couldn't remember which one it was. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Peter, would you like to read a couple poems?
Yes, I would love to read a couple of poems, actually. I have to say, I don't know, they're a little bit of a downer, I'm sorry, but they're what I've been thinking of lately. The first one is called Elegy for Leslie. Leslie was the president of our poetry group here in Orlando, and she passed away suddenly last year. And this is Elegy for Leslie. Neighbors found her labradoodle wandering, leash attached, through their front yard, walked him home to find her body sprawled over the threshold, to-do list clutched in her hand. I wish I could declare deep meaning from her death, declaiming rolling phrases poets pen at these moments, but I can't. I can share some of her list. 10 items, 2 checked off. Pick up food for meeting. Walk dog. Call James, schedule date night. Last item, tell my son I love him. Yeah, it was a short one, but we do miss her. And for this next one, I learned a new word. I was going to call it aperitif, which you know is a cocktail, but I found out that the aperitif is what you have before dinner. If you're having cocktails after dinner, they're called digestifs, I suppose, to help you digest. So this is digestif. I'm drinking Pinot Noir out of a plastic cup, sitting in a hard chair at my Formica kitchen table. Don't worry, it's not a great vintage. One of those $12.99 bottles, eye-catching label, pastel flip-flops spell beach shoes, evoking a sunset I saw at Malibu, fine white sands stuck to skin, nothing to do but sip, watch an enormous red-orange sun dip into wine-dark Pacific. I thought that vista unforgettable, but I had forgotten until I finished my second bottle. Lonely man drinking alone, not even bothering to wash out a wine glass first. Some drink to forget, but I need it to remember. Do bikini-clad blondes from that long ago Malibu beach ever think of young me when they reminisce? Maybe they're sitting in their kitchens too, looks gone, drinking straight from a bottle. Used to believe I'd figure a way to sneak out of this world alive, but now I'm beginning to wonder. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Peter. Please don't ever apologize for being a downer. That would be all of my poems then I would have to apologize for everything right.
I promise I'll have a couple of funny ones next month.
Okay, well, they're all good. So Pam, would you like to read?
Thank you. Yes, I would love to read. Man, it's been so long since I've read out loud. Yeah, last summer I broke my knee while everybody was out marching with Black Lives Matter. I was dead for 12 weeks waiting for my knee to heal. I took a class from Kate Gray, and this is "Oh, but when I look around," and it was a prompt from a 12-year-old boy's poem or song about George Floyd, but for me it's something else. So, oh, but when I look around, I feel the eyes of my aspens looking back. I feel last year's leaves crunching on the ground. Then I hear the axeman's fighting hacks. Oh, but when I look around, the ache of missing you, having died and lost your lively sounds. I await renewing, spreading shoots. Oh, but when I look around, I cling to the spreading years, finding new emerging sprouts, sneaking under every concrete pier. Oh, but when I look around, I'm facing those hardy tries at rebirth, doomed as the same failing ground will not bring back new life, just death. Oh, but when I look around, I see all the cats' gravestones, how they love to sun upon your ground, underneath your quakes and moans. Oh, but when I look around, I cry, oh, why must this tree I so loved die? I still seek the comfort of your sound. I walk the high Wallowas and at Camassia, I sighed. Oh, but when I look around, I see the internet declare Aspen and Rockies and Sierras are downed. The curse has yet been made aware. When I can walk beneath your quaking leaves, Mother and Aunt Margaret still walk with me. I'm glad you brought me to these trees, and now I pray, The aspen bark still looks at me. And this one's called Antidote for Pandemic. Pardon me. As I struggle into the earth, or excuse me, it's getting dark in here all of a sudden. As I snuggled into the earth, the sun erupts through the curtain, reminding me I'm not alone on earth in this cave. I've tossed so many earthly goods, though not all, not enough. What is the future besides the legacy I've inherited and might wish to pass on? The pathway out is freshly drying mud. Moccasined feet and mud silently mold each other. It's dusk as I emerge from my cave. A deer is digging beneath the tree for pungent truffles to eat. I stay very quiet so as not to disturb the scene. The river of melting ice and snow gurgles behind me, just to let me hear I am here. My match girl self quietly strikes a paper match, bringing brief heat and light. I am now, because that is all one can really know. The breeze whispers, here, now.
Thank you, Pam. That's really wonderful. We have a lot of nature images.
Very nature, yes. That's the way tonight seemed to be anyway. Thank you.
So Kay, I don't really see your face. Would you like to read? Oh, you're muted.
I won't read tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for being here. So Vivian, would you like to read?
Sure, I would love to. Thank you. And thank you both, Francis and Nancy. I really enjoyed your reading, as I did the others who read this evening. This poem was inspired by Alicia Ostreicher, and it's called My Last 10K. One August, I ran a 10K at Crater Lake. I wore a white t-shirt with Love Your Mother superimposed over that photo of the world from space. We started early, gulping thin air. Our legs limbered, our strides lengthened, our necks stretched upward. Lightheaded, we joined the blue dome above, the caldera below. Volcanic ash, porous pumice, mountain hemlock blurred alongside as we ran. We could almost have gone on forever, almost. Now, with thickened waist, fallen arches, swollen ankles, arthritic feet, I no longer jog. I forest bathe at local parks. Isn't it beautiful when you walk up Mount Tabor? We train our binoculars on red-tailed hawks, hummingbirds, owls, barred and great-horned. The wind sows through deodar cedars, Douglas fir, bigleaf maple, goldfinches, flickers, red-breasted sapsuckers, brown creepers, cedar waxwings. They all reward our pausing. Please, let the words come. Let them find me. Let me recognize them. Let them in. Let me always find beauty. And I will read this one, Hope in the 21st Century. A slanted red tiled roof against a hill. Stone walls, still solid, gather round those lost. Although the sun is high, the rooms are dark and still. The souls who gather here ignore the past. So long they've searched, so many roads they've crossed. But then the scent of wild thyme awakes the dark. Their hearts leap high. They wish to see a spark of hope. A world so wild, so vast, so strong, beyond despair, beyond this place. An arc of light, of dreams, of love, where all belong. Thank you.
Oh, Vivian, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we all need hope. Did you say forest bathe? Did you say that? I love that. Okay, so hi, Susan. would you like to read?
Yes, I'll read. Mine's first one's a little dark too, but it has a little bit to do with nature, I guess. It was actually based on a letter I received from a student, former student of mine. And it's also has to do with my mother and Alzheimer's, but it's called Just a Little Death. In the photograph, Maria stares up at me, wearing a kerchief. She's far away. Romania, she says, though that's something only the foreign postmark can verify. She writes that she helped cut off a chicken's head and ate the soup. She held its head when the axe fell. The chicken soup, she says, was made to entertain her. She's a guest. She asked if sometimes a little soup is indeed good comfort. She asked, would I have had the strength to wield that axe or to hold that head? She writes that she's tired of reading Emily Dickinson's nature poems with all those dashes, and asked me which Harvard genius decided her poetry was amazing anyway. These are all questions I cannot answer. I envision my mother, her cotton wool head on a block. I think, what if sometimes a little death is better than incoherence or soundproofed green walls? I see the fall of the axe, hear how it swoops down through the cold air out there somewhere in Romania. I see the pinwheels of red that must have arched upwards toward a thin December sun, like the beginning of a rainbow. Yes, and that my mother did have Alzheimer's, and so that was written about her too. So, okay, and I just have another one more short one. It's called The River, an Andrew Goldsworthy moment. And Andrew Goldsworthy, if you don't know, is an artist who does a lot of outside art installations with nature. He's a Scottish gentleman, I guess. And anyway, he does beautiful stuff. There's a documentary about his work that is really well worth seeing. So this was about a river back in Maine where I lived. The river. Rafts of golden leaves from birch and maple line each bank. The tide reaches its finger into the mouth of the water and gently draws them out. What if all passages could be so easy, swelling lightly on the ebb and flow, the forward glide of water? And that was the first introductory poem in my chat book, In the Hush. So thank you very much. And thank you, Francis and Nancy. You both did beautiful jobs, especially with all the nature poetry.
Thank you so much, Susan. Would you like me to put the name of your book in chat? You want to do that?
If you want to, In the Hush.
In the Hush, okay.
In the Hush, H-U-S-H.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
it's from Finishing Line Press.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Anne, hi, would you like to read?
Yeah, I'll read one very short one. It's sort of a bird poem. It's called Flight. Don't you wish now and then you could hold open a book, spines splayed, pages fluttering, heft it above your head so the pages turn to wings as you clutch the covers, front and back, and let it lift you up, up, up. Thanks. And thank you, Francis and Nancy and everybody else who's read. I love these readings. Just always bring me up. Even with the downer stuff, it's still, I just love that connection. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. I love that poem. Hi, Nitsa. Would you like to read a couple poems?
Yes, I would like to read one. I'll use the mic. Oh, yes. I call this poem A Journey Inside the Earth. I wrote it a couple of weeks ago after a very deep meditation about our ecological disasters, and also knowing that the Day of the Planet Earth was going to be celebrated or commemorated on the 20th or the 21st, I think it is. So it's Journey Inside the Earth. Inside the earth, I feel my spirit palpitate. Ancestors of other eras welcome me. Saturated outcries of stars falling from the sky, and echoes of drums pounded on the stones. Ancestral dances vibrate on my feet covered with Caribbean woods. Inside the earth, my soul pours into mourning for the blood spilled in fierce millennial wars. Homo sapiens demons, maddened, jumped into his greatest folly, extermination. Bloodied sap drips from within the earth. It's from trees in pain. The cry of oceans, birds, and forests gets confused with mine. My greater Antilles arms spread and comfort tiny beings under the earth. Their microscopic faces look at me, but I can't draw them. Science falls short of explaining my feelings. Inside the earth, its core is reflected in trillions of transparent mirrors. The blazing underground rainbow whispers a great secret. Infinite forms of life and colors are whirling sad, agonizing in a kaleidoscope. Their beauty and grandeur totally disturbed. Is it virtual reality, science fiction, mythology, a fantasy? Perhaps a planetary revelation. I managed to see Gaia, Pachamama, hidden behind an opaque cloak never seen before. Could it be her light diminishing? Could it be that she's sowing her last seeds of hope? I hear a desperate ecological cry from within the earth. 1 million species at risk of extinction. A climate catastrophe in a full anthropocentric era. Yet human consciousness expands and calls us to reverse the extermination. Think like a mountain, feel like the planet, vindicate the poor of the earth, take a quantum leap into an infinite cosmic era. Sorry, it's sad, but we have the hope.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, of course, Norma.
I heard you the other evening and the discussion about whether you write in Spanish or English, and I wondered about that one. It's beautiful.
Yes, that one I wrote it in Spanish.
Really?
And I translated into English. But the heartfelt and the process of, going through that meditation and then the poetic expression was in my native language.
It seems fuller somehow. It's gone through 2 languages doing it. It's just beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening, and thank you, Francis and Nancy, and all of you for your beautiful poems.
Thank you, Nitsa. Did you have another one you wanted to read? I thought you said 2.
No, only one. It's okay.
Thank you.
Thank.
So Karen Leonard, I'm sorry, I don't know you. Did you want to read a poem?
I'm here in the role of audience, but thank you to all the.
Okay, thanks for joining. And then there's Wolfgang. I don't know you either. Would you like to read a poem?
No, I don't. I'm a good friend of Francis and Chris. I at the time need some solace, and I found this today thanks to the poems and the beautiful flute play. As you hear, I have an accent. I'm from Germany. I remember a poem from 60 years ago that my teacher taught us, but I don't think I would be comfortable citing that. It's about spring, but I rehearsed it while you were doing your show, and nobody would understand the words, but I think it's from Rainer Maria Rilke. But that's my only connection to poetry. Back 60 years at my German middle high school, and then reintroduced through Francis, who, as I said, is a very, very dear and good friend. So thank you for everybody for helping me to have a peaceful evening.
Well, so happy you're here. Thank you. Norma, hi.
Hi.
Would you like to read 2 poems?
Let's see. Could I share screen during this?
I think we're not going to do that tonight. I just wanted to, I just wanted to see your face and just to read. I'd rather we not do share screen.
Okay, I think I'll wait to read this then, because it's about my mother. I was asked to write something for Mother's Day, and I'm using some of 2 pictures of her. So
okay.
I'll do-
Okay, I just been to readings where people do share screen and I don't feel comfortable. I just want to see people and read, but
well, I'm going to read, but I just was going to put it on for a while.
okay, is it you're just a photograph? Is that what you're going to put on? Okay, oh, that's fine. I mean, some people do PowerPoints and so that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
This is for Mother's Day. Good morning. Good Mother's Day morning. Excuse me. It's good Mother's Day morning to all of us who are and aren't. I'm delighted to tell you something about Agnes Grace Peters Heiser, my mama, who was born May 5th, 1901. She always said the year after the year. I didn't think much about that until now, and it impresses me. The year after the year, yes. This Mother's Day, 2021, Mama is 120. Mama was funny. She could laugh at herself and her predicaments. She had lots of predicaments when she wasn't nervous or sad. Nobody said the word depression when I was growing up. Most of all, I know Mama liked me. I heard her say once to someone, I hope she will always be the way she is. Wish I had asked her what way that is. Is it there? It's not on the screen, is it?
No, it's not there.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No.
Oh, here we go. Maybe
Okay.
it can go here now. Now is it on the screen?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Anyway, here's a picture of Mama in an all-girl orchestra, the Rosarian Girls, in some of the 19 teens. Mama's the one above the banjo. They traveled on the red electric train, boarding Union Station in Portland, gigging in little towns like Carlton, Sherwood, Newburgh, Silverton, and probably Salem, Eugene, and Corvallis. I don't know for sure and can't find the Rosarian Girls on the web. And here's another picture of Mother. Here's a picture of Mama and her violin around 1918. She and Daddy married in 1923. I was told he played the banjo too, but I didn't see or hear him. He was busy making a business when I knew him. In the 30s, they had 2 bratty girls, my sister and me. We teased Mama about her violin, made fun of her, hurt her. I would have spanked us. but she put the violin away. Oh, Mama, can I tell you it was me I hurt? You could have played and loved your violin into your life after Daddy's death. Remember, rather than the depressing a life for which you were not prepared. I didn't know how to show you encouragement, respect, acceptance, understanding. You were my model, but I didn't see you that way. You are now becoming more and more alive and beautiful as I grow older and older. If the universe will help, I'll spend more and more time with you, recalling, remembering, appreciating, and loving you with my grown-up heart. Happy Mother's Day 2021 and happy birthday 1901. I love you, Mama. Norma. And
Thank you, Norma.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you. It's really lovely.
The pictures helped.
I'm sorry that didn't work.
Okay.
Dale, hi. Would you like to read a couple?
I would love to. I'm a little nervous to read a nature poem. There've been so many wonderful nature poems read here tonight, but I thought I'd try to keep up with the herd. Dance in the old growth forest. Hemlock, Douglas fir, and Sitka spruce stand tall and grown, dancing their rooted dance. In the canopy, pileated woodpeckers hacksaw giant crowns. Tanagers lift their wings to the topmost branches. A fawn is born, a snag falls. Folding door spiders skitter. Lichens beard from limbs thick and bent as crippled legs. Mosses dull olive to Kelly green cushion everywhere. Saffron yellow hen of the woods flourish in cavities abandoned by raccoons, and pines sway, their arms powdering a dust of pollen on rhododendrons. The understory dances. Carpenter ants shiver through leaf rot, heart rot, and root rot, egg laying, shifting larvae and food stores, umbrellaed by mushrooms from windstorm and snowstorm. Miniature gladiators, shrews cavalcade, gnawing on slugs 3 times their length. All is a dance of abundance, sheltered from rain, thirsting for rain, storing rain in soil-deep reservoirs. Archipelagos of life, from cloudburst to budburst, dance a heady quadrille, each sequence complete in itself. Green melodies interweave, waltz, polka, and ballet. I'll just read one.
Oh, Dale, that's wonderful. I think everybody would agree that's steeped in nature, all your details. It's great. Let's see. So Jade, would you like to read?
Yeah, I would. And thank you so much, Francis and Nancy, for such rich fodder, and for everyone else. It is always uplifting to hear everyone's poems. I've got 2 ones. This one is called A Stranger on the Platform. She reeks of pale outer planet starry stuff, sighing dust and light, revolving, circumnavigating, late night foreign murky trenches, shuffling blue, sniffling across the platform, wearing baby pink shoes, holey jeans, and an empty shirt, mindless like she lives here, at the North Melbourne train station platform, an interstellar guest, waiting for a spirit beast or a medicine woman to follow the tracks on her arm, to make sense of her life. She leaves finally, a small trail of diamonds following her across the line, just as a falling star lights up the sky. And this second one is, I guess, a nature informed Australian bush nature poem called Australian Bush Solstice. We party on the new pine deck, launch forth our summer joy, sauteed in garlic ginger echoes, bathed in Joni Mitchell's chords. The bush is loud, hysterical kookaburras spilling riot red laughter, silent kangaroos grazing, listening. Our revelry bounces off full moonlight, flashes between stampeding clouds as a summer storm excites the air, crackling the blue-green gums. Party into jasmine, mango, barbecued prawns, drinking yeasty bubbles, watching clockwork spiders spinning yarns. Then a moment, lily still, paparazzi moonlight catches us, faces uplifted, silhouettes stenciled into lavender summer night.
Thank you, Jade. Well, we have one more reader tonight, who is Stan. Stan, would you like to read?
Yes, I would. I want to note that the story about the chicken reminded me of the live markets when I was growing up. They've since disappeared, but when I was a kid, there were live markets. And the sound of the flute just brought back memories of my time in the Indian Health Service and what a life-changing experience that was. So I have two poems. One is kind of silly, another one's kind of serious. I'll start silly. It's more comfortable. It's called Potpourri. The peaches are all stoned and the grapes are hanging tight. They're starving in Yemen, and that can never be all right. The burning masks in Midland, rogue Texans abandon the rules. They're going on a long vacation, sailing the ship of fools. No one's life ever mattered. It was just a matter of time before we all have to suffer from other people's crimes. My transition to adulthood took longer than I thought. It was surely worth it. Look at all the great stuff I bought. The second one is called The Trouble with Everything. And it was instigated by the Pope saying a few weeks ago that homosexuality is a choice. It reminded me of the Inherit the Wind. I don't know if people remember that movie. And Spencer Tracy said to Frederick March, so God tells Brady, and then Brady tells the world, which was a mocking thing to say to Brady. So this is what came out of that. Strom Thurmond's illegitimate daughter was officially classified as a love child. Yours, sir, will simply call your bastards. No chance the error will ever end up at rewrite. Congress members own stocks and bonds, fully vested foxes in the chicken coops, working tirelessly with lobbyist bribes. They'll never agree to give up their spoils. New confusion with the origin of the species. They found fossils of snakes with fur. Let's issue a subpoena to Charles Darwin. Charlie's got loads of explaining left to do. Some claim their faith draws them closer to God. They happily blame and shame godless folks. Yet prayer results lack statistical significance. Pedophilia is a cardinal sin, not a job perk. Celibacy, not homosexuality, is a choice. So that's it. That was it. So that's something you end up whistling, but I felt very strong about it.
Thank you, Stan. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, it's been such a great night. What a wonderful night. I am recording this, so hopefully it'll be successful. Nancy, thank you, and Francis for your wonderful poetry and your flute playing, and everybody else who shared or just who've been come to support your friends. I wanted to tell you about our next readers. So on May 25th, we're going to have Peter Gordon, who's here, and Lois Rosen. And then June 29th, we're going to have Mark Jansen and Jim Merrill. And then in July 27th, we're going to have Carolyn Martin and Patty Baker. So that's all for now. I thought we could just everybody unmute, and we could just, if we want to say anything to the poets or that.
Thank you, poets.
Yes.
Everyone,
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all.
Your poetry.
Yeah.
An amazing.
What Dale said.
Yeah, right.
Mary, thank you for hosting too.
My pleasure.
Thank
What are the odds that any of these next ones will be live?
Well, I'm hoping the fall,
June?
hoping August. But
Okay.
as I've been telling people that I'll probably do Zoom, for somebody like Nancy, who's in Baker City,
Right.
do Zoom, and Peter's in Florida, so we can do Zoom. But then I miss being with my friends in the library.
Mhm.
I really miss that. Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to go on the road.
There you go.
Road trip.
Well, I got my 12-step meetings are talking about hybrid so that you could do Zoom and live all together.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works because I'm not smart enough to figure that stuff out. It's too frustrating, but I'm sure somebody's going to figure it out.
Pam, you're smart enough.
Not with my computer, obviously. I had so much trouble trying to figure out. My phone died last week, and so everything's sort of scrambled when I got my new phone. It's weird.
It can be done hybrid. I've been teaching hybrid classes for months where
Oh, good.
I teach in person, but there's people who won't come in and we hook them up in Zoom. It's possible to do. Not as much fun as everybody being in one place, whether it's on Zoom or in person.
Right. Okay. It's harder, huh?
It can be done.
I want to say that I'm really very private person, very solitary, and these sessions I feel like I'm eavesdropping on people's psyche, and I really enjoy it because it's like cross-pollinating.
Yeah.
Everybody would be so jealous to know where you live, Stan.
Oh,
He lives right by the wetlands here.
yes.
The ones that you frequent, Francis, the Hillsborough, Jackson Bottom.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yeah. It doesn't get old.
No, it's beautiful.
It always inspires me to draw or paint. Or write. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I've been stuck in my bedroom here for a year. This is my bedroom. 'Cause I live in a tiny house, and my partner and his 10-year-old son, they're like running around. So I'm hiding in my bedroom here.
Good idea. But
Yeah.
you feed the animals, you feed the squirrels
Right.
Yep, they're over there.
and birds.
I'm about to move into my tiny house, but right now I'm between houses in my grandchildren's playroom.
So I just need somebody's help before we go about, I'm recording this right now, and then how do I save it? So anybody who can help me with this.
Peter, you should know.
Yeah, Peter. So I press
Well,
stop.
did it ask you when you recorded if you're recording it to the cloud or to your computer?
I'm saving it to my computer.
Oh, well, then once it converts, the recording will go through a conversion process, and there should actually be a little window that pops up that says we're converting. And then when it's 100% converted, you should get something from your computer that says, okay, we've done this. Now what do you want to do? And then you can just
So when I press stop, that happens because this is for Nancy and Francis. I want them to have a recording.
It
Yes.
usually will start converting actually after you end the meeting.
Okay, oh, great.
So if you press stop, then it'll stop, but then when you actually end the meeting is when the window should pop up.
Okay, great.
And
Okay,
if the window doesn't pop up, then I'm not really sure, but that's how mine works.
okay, great.
Wow, cool.
All right, well, everybody, thank you so much.
Thank
See you next
you.
time.
Thanks,
you, Mary.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good
Take
coming
care.
on.
See you all next month.
Thank you,
All right.
Francis. That was so
That
beautiful.
was wonderful. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Nancy. Thank you, Francis.
Good to see you, Dale. Good. Thanks for coming, Wolfie.
Mhm.
You're welcome.